Today we have the Jabra 65Ts and the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless Earbuds, and we're going to put them against each other in these areas so that you can figure out which is going to work the best for you. What's up friends, I'm Mike again. Welcome back to another tech review where I find awesome things to simplify your life. I know this is going to be quite a longer video, there's a lot to go over, so for your convenience I put everything in the timestamps below so that you can skip to the parts that are most important to you. And also we'll be getting a Master & Dynamics MW07, the Roken Wireless Charge Plus, and the Bose Sound Sport Free in for review next week. So if this video has helped you in any way at all and you want to see more, like and subscribe and turn on the notifications to support the channel. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I've been using these Jabras for around 9 months now, and at first when I got them I thought they sounded great. The bass was punchy and everything was clear, there's no distortions, and it was great for working out and all that jazz. But after using the Sennheisers for the past 3 months, the Jabras now sound kind of flat. Because the biggest difference that I see is that there's a lot more detail, clarity, and there's a larger sound stage, so the sounds in the Sennheisers are a lot more 3D. The bass is really rich and warm and impactful, all rolled up together. So when I listen to acoustic cello music, I can actually feel the bass waves, and I'm not sure if that's the best way to describe it, but there's a lot more bass depth and you can definitely hear that. And again, there's a lot of detail in the treble and mids, so it makes the vocals and the highs really clear and smooth. So overall, the sounds are really spacious and you can really hear the separation between things, and it's really impactful. So the sounds on the Sennheisers are definitely better than the Jabras. And if you want to customize the sounds even more, there's apps for both of these. And I do have to give the advantage to the Jabras. Besides just giving you an equalizer, they give you presets as well so that you can pick and choose and see what sounds best to you. They also have different hear-through features when you're commuting or when you're in focus mode. And they also have these different recorded background noises like white noise, pink noise, and rain sounds so that it can help you relax and help you sleep if you're in a noisy environment. And overall, it just has a lot more features than the Sennheiser app, which just has an equalizer. And yes, both of these do have the hear-through feature, which uses the mics to replicate the sounds outside so that you can be aware of your environment. And this is really useful for when you're running or when you're outside walking around, and really just to avoid getting hit by a car. And I gotta say that the mics on both of these are very good, because with other earbuds, normally they will reproduce a sound that's more tinny and it sounds really cheap and you get all this like hissing sound like but it's not the case with both of these. With the feature on, it sounds like you're not even wearing earbuds at all. And at first when I used this, I thought it was awesome, but after using the Sennheisers, I did notice a bit of hissing sounds on this. So the Sennheiser sounds a bit more natural, but it's just a marginal difference. You can't really tell the difference if you don't try one after the other. And the next important thing is the connection quality. So with both of these, they've been very reliable. I've never had any disconnects or any static noises. And when I watch movies on my iPad, computer, or phone, there's no lags at all. I watch Netflix, YouTube videos, and even play games on them. But I do have to give the advantage to the Jabras because it has a very important feature, which is simultaneous Bluetooth pairing. This means it can connect up to 2 devices at the same time. And this is really useful if you're a person who uses your computer and phone and takes calls frequently. When you're using your laptop to watch YouTube videos or something and your phone rings, all you have to do is stop the YouTube video and pick up your phone and boom, it works seamlessly without you having to alter your Bluetooth settings. But that's not the case with the Sennheisers. You can only connect to 1 device at a time. So when I have this connected to my computer and my phone rings, I actually have to take out my earbud and just listen to it like this. But if your phone is in your backpack or your pants or your jacket, it's gonna be quite annoying to switch to Bluetooth connection. So if you're a user who switches devices often, the Jabras will work a lot better for you. And while we're on the topic of calls, here's a call quality test for you. Hey guys, so this is supposed to simulate the background noise of a coffee shop. This is what the mic sounds like with my camera mic. And right now I'm using the Jabra 65Ts right here. This is what it sounds like testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it clear? Is it isolating my voice from the environmental sounds? Can you hear the difference? And it has a 4-array mic, so it should reduce a lot of wind noise. Now we have the wind sound as well. Does it block out that wind noise? Or do you hear those fluffing sounds? I do hear the wind sounds right now, but I'm not sure in the recording, so let me know down below. And when we switch over to the Sennheisers, so right now I do have the Sennheisers in my ear, and this does have voice isolation, so it should isolate the background noise better than the Jabras, but again, I don't know until I actually review the footage. So just let me know down below which sounds better, the Sennheisers or the Jabras. And oh yeah, forgot about the wind noise. Okay, you guys hear any wind noise from this? Is it worse? Better than the Jabras? Let me know down below. So next up, we have the build quality of the cases. And I do have to give the advantage to the Sennheisers because it's just overall a lot more premium. And I say that not only because it looks good, but because it also uses a lot of magnets inside. So here it has a magnetic closure to open and close, and your earbuds are magnetically secured so that it won't drop out of your case. Whereas the Jabras in this case uses a plastic hook over here, and if that ever breaks in the future, you're kind of hooped because the earbuds themselves are not magnetically secured. They just fall out like this, and I just don't feel too safe about that. There are frustrating times where I was trying to put them back in the case and it actually bounced out of the case and onto the street. So besides that, both cases does have a battery indicator that shows you the level of battery, but in terms of battery life, there is a huge advantage with the Jabras. Each charge holds 5 hours of battery, and putting it back in the case gives you 2 extra charges, whereas the Sennheisers only have 4 hours per charge, and the case gives you 2 more charges. But the biggest thing here is that when you put the earbuds in the case, they are never actually turned off. It's always on standby mode, and that's why when you take them out and put them in your ear, it connects right away. And what that means is that it's always on and it's always draining battery from the case. Even if you don't use it, the battery is gonna drain over the 7 days, and you're just gonna have to charge it weekly regardless if you use it or not. But in my experience, it wasn't that big of a deal because it does make up for it by having a USB-C port. And right now I use my Samsung Note 8 and my MacBook Pro, which both have USB-Cs. So I only bring one charger out with one cable, and I can always charge it whenever I want to. Versus the Jabras, which only have a micro USB. So that's something that might not be a big deal to everyone, but I think it's important to note. And lastly, there's a difference in size with the cases. So as you can see, the Jabra case is smaller than the Sennheisers, and I do find it's a lot easier putting this in your pocket along with your keys, and it's fine. I don't really feel it. But switching to the Sennheisers, I do feel a lot more bulge in my pants, so I mean, if you got skinny jeans, this is gonna work better for you. Or you're just gonna have to live with the bulge in your pants. And next up, we have the build quality and comfort and the aesthetics of the earbuds. So I can definitely say that they both are very comfortable in my ear. I usually use these for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. The Jabras are a lot smaller, so you don't really see it sticking out of my ears, whereas the Sennheisers are bigger, so it does stick out a bit. But really, it's up to you to decide which one looks better. And I do have to mention that the Jabras support themselves on the bottom of your ear over here, and that means that when you're walking or anything, you're gonna hear a lot of vibrations from your body, and that's just something that people notice and it bothers them. But with the Sennheisers, it supports itself using the top over here, so there's a lot less contact with your ear, and therefore less vibration sounds from your body when you're walking and doing all that stuff. But because of how they're held in your ears, I do think the Jabra does give a bit more secure fit, because when I'm biking and put my helmet on, when my helmet moves a bit, my Sennheisers do become loose at that point, and that's just something I noticed. But when you're running or walking around, the Sennheisers would definitely stay in your ear. So when you're working out, I do think they're both good options, but the Jabras would have a slight advantage. And just to be sure, here's a shake test. So I'm shaking quite violently and I'm getting a headache, but it's still here. But if I shake sideways more violently, the Sennheisers will fall out. See? So the Jabras are definitely a lot more secure for sports. And also, the Jabras are a bit more water resistant. It's rated at IPX5 versus the Sennheisers, which is only IPX4. So if you sweat a lot or you run in the rain, the Jabras are gonna work a lot better for that. And as I mentioned before, I have dropped these a few times because it bounced out of the case, and I can definitely say that it survived all my drops. There's nothing wrong with the connections, and there's just nothing wrong overall. Whereas the Sennheisers, I did hear that they're a bit more fragile. I did read a few cases where people would drop these and it just stopped working. So maybe it was a malfunction or it just broke. So overall, in terms of durability, I do have to give the edge to the Jabra 65Ts. And lastly, I do have to mention that the Sennheisers uses touch controls versus the Jabras using hardware buttons. In my user experience, I did find that hardware buttons work a lot better because sometimes when you tap this, and I mean, you can call this user error, but it does miss some taps. And I did mention this in the dedicated review that I made for this, that the touch commands themselves aren't too intuitive to use, especially if you're using it only for calls. So in my personal experience, I do favor the hardware controls a lot more. But I mean, that's just me. If you're fine with touch controls, then you're all good. Overall, I do find myself using the Sennheisers more as my daily earbuds for when I'm commuting, when I'm on my computer, and just when I'm watching things on my devices. The sound is just that much better, and it really makes me enjoy the music that I'm listening to. Except when I have to keep connecting and reconnecting this to my other devices. So if you do have a lot of devices, this might not be the one for you. But if you have the money and you really prioritize sound over everything else, these are definitely worth the price difference of $100 over these. The build quality and the sound definitely are worth it. it, especially if you're gonna be using these over the next 2 or 3 years. But if you're in a budget and looking for super versatile earbuds that can handle calls, switching over to different devices, commutes, computer work, and all that jazz, and something that you can just conveniently slip in your pocket to grab and go with, the Jabras are definitely the most feature-packed earbuds in this price range. You're gonna get the most value out of your money with this. Anyways guys, I really hope that helped you guys decide which one you should get, and ask away if you have any questions at all. I'd love to help. And of course, I didn't forget about the giveaway from our last video. This is going to go to my man Miles and his brother. So congratulations on winning, Miles. Send me your address and this is gonna get shipped right to you. And don't worry guys, if you didn't win this time, there's a lot more giveaways coming up this year. So you know what to do. Turn on that notification because sometimes YouTube doesn't send out my latest uploads to you unless you do that. And that's it for now guys. Thanks again for watching and we'll see you in the next review. Bye!